Greetings and salutations, Dave, or I guess technically I should call you Dead on Dave. This is Christopher Daniels.
Hey everyone, it's the Native American Tonka. Want to give a big shout out to Dead on Dave.
Dave, this is Leon White, Big Van Vader.
Dead on Dave. What's up, man? It's the coach.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and I know when I want to keep up with the latest in wrestling news from around the world, I check in with Dead on Dave Productions. He covers a wide variety of wrestling topics, including the career of the hardcore legend. Don't miss it. Dead on Productions. Yeah.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Dead on Dave, and I am here coming at you from Germany to put a little bow on the draft from last night. It seems like a lot of people are freaking out over one major thing, and I want to address that. Well, they're freaking out over a couple of things, so I want to address them all. First off, I don't think the draft went all that bad for either brand. I know a lot of people are talking about the lack of depth on SmackDown, and there does seem to be that concern. However, keep in mind two things that a lot of people really aren't taking into consideration. SmackDown is a 2-hour show. It's not a 3-hour show, so right there it doesn't need a whole hell of a lot of as many people, I should say, as Raw. The other big thing, as we found out last night, is it looks like there's only going to be one title. And with only one world title, you don't need as many people on both brands. You can have one that is slightly more loaded, one would say. One could say, I should say. Anyway. Yes, I think those two factors really do kind of even things out a little bit. But there's even more. And my biggest point when it comes to at least the sheer amount of people, and maybe even some of the stars that were drafted, is this. SmackDown is being highlighted touted as the fresh show, the new show. That show that is going to change the rules, buck the trends, and be something different than Monday Night Raw. That was certainly accomplished with this draft. Look, Raw played it safe. They went the safe route with Raw. They loaded it. I mean, they put a lot of big names, especially at the top of the roster, on Raw. Raw is going to continue to be that big draw for 3 hours, and to do that, you got to have a lot of talent. So it's not a shock that they got Seth Rollins, Charlotte, Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, The New Day, Sami Zayn, Sasha Banks, Chris Jericho, Rusev, Kevin Owens, Enzo and Cass, Gallows and Anderson, Cesaro, Neville. I mean, they got loaded. They got loaded in an up-and-coming Darren Young, a few other people as well. They really did load up, but they have to. They got to play it safe. That's what Raw's going to do. Raw's going to be the establishment, while SmackDown is going to be the upstart. SmackDown is going to buck the trend. So what they did was they took a handful of big names at the top with Ambrose, Styles, Cena, Orton, Wyatt, Becky Lynch, who looks like she's in position to be the flagship woman standard of the show, at least until Bayley comes over. I do believe Bayley is going to come up on the SmackDown. I also believe Shinsuke Nakamura is going to come to SmackDown, but both of those we're going to talk about in a moment. The Miz, Baron Corbin, huge get there. The point is, they went with a different strategy where you have your top draws like Cena, Styles, and Orton and things like that, to where you're going to keep people tuning in and coming to the live shows. But then you have it backloaded with younger stars, guys that maybe not everybody knows about or hasn't really given the proper chance to, or the WWE themselves have not properly pushed and put into a good situation. What this does is it gives the opportunity to breed new heels, new faces, new stars, new storylines, which is the whole point of the draft in the first place, is to do something different. I mean, we got a lot of opportunity here with guys like the aforementioned Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin has a chance to be a huge star on this roster. Immediately, he has a chance to make a gigantic impact. Gable and Jordan, American Alpha, maybe the hottest team in all of wrestling right now. There's really, you can make the argument, there is not a hotter team than the American Alpha. And they're on SmackDown. They're going to be that standard barrier. You got a guy like Kalisto, who has had some failings in the United States market. I think they did make a mistake with him, especially after his debacle with the U.S. title, which I just tried to flubbingly reference, which I didn't. I said the U.S. market because I'm an idiot. But this is the one mistake I feel they made. Kalisto should have been on Raw because they have the Cruiserweight division. Kalisto needs to be in the Cruiserweight division. He just does. He doesn't work with the big guys. It's just my opinion. I don't know. But another guy on this list, a couple of guys, Zack Ryder, Apollo Crews. It does seem to me like both mid-card titles are probably going to switch. The Miz needs to drop the Intercontinental Championship. More than likely, he'll be dropping it to Darren Young, who is over on Raw. And Zack Ryder winning the United States Championship would be bringing it over to SmackDown. So that makes sense. So that also sets up this final dual-branded pay-per-view to have a couple of big title switches, potentially more than a couple title switches. I mean, actually, there's only one other title being defended, but all three could switch brands after this, and it would not be a big surprise. The women's division is a little bit lackluster outside of Becky and stuff. You got chances here with Alexa Bliss, who I love, you know that. Eva Marie, which is a big chance taken, and Carmella, who may not be ready, but it's time to give it a shot. It does suck that they're not keeping her with Cass and Enzo, but that's just the way it is. Mojo Rawley, it's time to shoot for the stars with him. The point is, this roster is fleshed out in a way where they're going to be able to have a lot of unique matchups and go in fresh directions, which is the whole point of it. So I'm not freaking out over that. The other big freak out that I'm reading all over social media today is the lack of drafting of two fan favorites. The two biggest fan favorites, potentially, did not get drafted. Shinsuke Nakamura and Bayley, maybe the two hottest people in NXT, they did not get drafted. And everybody seems to be freaking out over this. I want to pump the brakes on it. And look, I wanted Shinsuke to be drafted last night, but after I thought about it, it makes total sense. Not only did WWE not specifically draft or take anyone away from NXT, the reasoning is simple. They're in the title hunt at TakeOver Brooklyn, and they're not going to mess with that event. That's completely fine. What they also did is showed extreme confidence in those people, including Samoa Joe and Asuka, because when those four get called up, they're getting individual debuts. They're not being lumped together in a draft. They have the confidence of the WWE brass to be able to be big enough to have an impactful debut on their own. Personally, I really like that. I think that's a great thing for Shinsuke and Bayley in particular, but also Samoa Joe and Asuka. More so the first two, I believe. But I think this has got good stuff potentially. Look, can this get messed up? Yes. Yes, it could all fall flat on its face because maybe the people that SmackDown drafted simply cannot get over. But they're going to get an opportunity. And isn't that what everyone's been bitching about? Daniel Bryan is the goddamn GM of the brand, for Christ's sake. He is the guy of change, the spokesman of change. So, I mean, come on. You got to at least give it a chance before you completely dump on it. But I understand the apprehension. Here's another point to it. If SmackDown does fall flat because of a lack of depth or whatever you want to call it, a simple trade or two simply fixes everything. A trade or two, Get a couple of those Raw guys over. Or, like I said earlier in the show, drafting, debuting, whatever, Bayley and Shinsuke Nakamura instantly injects life into SmackDown. So there's all kinds of ways that they can go with this. So keep all that in mind, and I hope that you like this video. Not only liked it, but liked it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, support, share, tell the world that you're watching a copious fat man on the Machinima partnership. All right, thank you guys very much for joining me right here on Dead on Dave Productions. I hope you like this little draft recap. We'll see you next time right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends like Tommy C. over at Shot from the Point, who had a very epic 3rd episode of Debated Podcast. Congratulations to you. Jeff Huffman doing workout videos now. You want to see the workouts that Jeff does to make him look like the Adonis that he is? Go check him out over at Grand Slam 87. That channel's back in its building, bitches. Too Tall from XLT Podcast. Don't forget about him. He is going up the ass of YouTube, over 4,000 subs now. He had a great show last night. Came over and poop sauced me to death. Great shit out of him. As always, make sure you check him out. And everybody else who's on my featured channels list. Jack Malay, Dr. Deke, Real Talk the Metaphor Messiah. So much more. Check all those guys out, okay? Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Keep it copious, folks. Peace.